Welcome back to Legacy, the premier strategic business event designed to help business owners and entrepreneurs build businesses that create impact, grow profits, and allow you to live the life you want to live. I am talking now to Claudia Romero. Claudia is a time efficiency and holistic productivity coach, a consultant and speaker. She's originally from Chile. She lives in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I can just say it's a pleasure to talk to you. Claudia, welcome to Legacy.
Well, thank you for having me. Actually, it is a pleasure to be here.
We talk about a topic that is super important, that's often misunderstood. So when we talk about work-life balance, work-life integration, time management, there's a lot of terms that hover around the ether when we think about these terms. Claudia, when we talk about in this session about creating work-life balance, finding ways to optimize time in a certain way so that life is more enjoyable, where can we actually start? There are so many frameworks, there's so much information out there. Let's make this as easy and accessible and valuable for us as possible. Where do we start checking in on how we do with time?
The main thing, and I agree with you, that there are many things in the system, in internet, and you're going to find the same things one after another time. But the main thing is understand yourself, understand your environment, and understand your energy levels. Because if you don't understand those factors, you can apply many of the methods of productivity and life balance. But when they are not going to work in your life, you are going to feel deflated, that you are the problem and nothing is working in your favor. But if you understand yourself, your environment, your family, or all the things that is in your unique life, you can start to put the tools that are going to work with you in your favor. So it is a trial and error. Mm-hmm. But when you understand, for example, if you are not a morning person, it doesn't matter how much you push yourself, you are not going to achieve the same results if you work when you are at your best and your peak energy levels.
So let's assume I figured that out. Let's assume I have a good night's sleep. Let's assume I wake up in the morning based on my biorhythm. I do some meditation, some mind setting, whatever helps me in the morning, some workouts to get my energy levels up. What do I do during the day? What do I need to take care of during the day in order to keep that energy level where it belongs, and in order to find that integration, that balance between my job, my calling as an entrepreneur, and my non-work life?
Basically, we are different, men and women. So starting from that point of view, you have to realize that, for example, in the women cases, we have cycles around the month and cycles around the day. Every single person has a cycle. For example, you wake up energized, and you meditate, you ground yourself, and then you feel that you are prepared to start your workload. But during the week, you also have other rhythms. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the week, maybe you are feeling more tired. So the main thing, and this is a quite effective tool that not many people realize, that doing a time audit, but a realistic one, of your week, what you do during the day, and when you feel more tired and when you feel more energized, it will give you the clue on how you can work better with your workload, with your family, because if you have children, for example, and you have to do the school run and everything, you need to consider commuting time. You have to consider many of those time that you think you are not able to do anything. But if you think properly while waiting in the school, for example, in the school grounds for your children to come, you can send mails or quick reply for mails, so you can optimize that time. I am not a fan on multitasking when the activity clash, but I am a fan of multitasking when the things are not related. So for example, if you want to do a power walk, you can listen podcast that gives you ideas for later on to work. But if you are doing a job, don't try to do another thing because it pops in your head, because that you are going to lose the focus. And it is scientifically proven that regaining the focus in one activity, it can take up to 2 hours. So try to manage your load or your activities according of what you do, and always consider a bumper time, because you never know how long does it take one activity. We usually underestimate how the activity will take, and then we are stressed because we program a to-do list infinite, and then you're not doing half of it, and you feel that you're failing.
I know how that feels.
I
know how that feels.
Yeah, and if you program like, if you program more time and then you took less time to finish, you have that bumper time to do another thing or start the new activity.
Claudia, let me come back to that topic of time audit that you mentioned. What is a time audit and how does it work?
Well, basically a time audit is take 5 minutes, for example, at lunchtime, and note every single thing, even take a shower, I slept 15 hours or 12 hours or 8 hours.
I wish.
Nobody, the teenagers only sleep 15 hours, but I try with my children as well to do this. So basically is to note every single activity that you are doing in a day and how long does it take. And you will realize that, oh my God, I'm spending, for example, I had a client that she was spending 10 hours a week watching and reading news, and it's the same news. So, and she always complained that she didn't have time to go to the gym or anything. So reducing that time, instead of 1 hour or 1 hour and a half scrolling social media, if you set timers for today, I'm going to do 45 minutes, unless you work in that, of course, 45 minutes to do something, and then forget it, leave it, because otherwise it's time consuming. You never estimate how long does it take, and then you are complaining, oh, I don't have to do anything. So when
what you're basically saying is,
picture,
first of all, we need to understand where we spend our time, and in order to do that, we need to track it.
Exactly.
And
that is a time audit.
Yes, and based on your experience, it seems like people heavily underestimate the time that they need for certain things, or the time that they actually spend on things that does not add value to them personally. So they, at some point in time through this time audit, the realization can be, I am actually wasting time on X. I do need less time than I thought on Y. And I need way more time to have a shower in the morning than I typically thought. What do we do with these results then?
With those results, you can start to program. For example, if you take so much time in the shower, maybe reduce it a little bit to 15 minutes, for example, and try to see what things add value to your life and what things really are clutter or rubbish. I'm not saying that, for example, I don't watch TV or I call that like procrastination, but controlled procrastination. So in my days that I feel a little bit low and I don't have the energy to do many things as an entrepreneur, of course, if you have a 9 to 5 work, you don't have too many choices. But if you feel low in energy and everything, you can program those activities to that time and make a better use of your time. And when you are working, for example, if you thought that entry data or admin, it takes so long, maybe if it's not your jam, maybe it's time to delegate that. Because if you're spending 3 hours doing a job that someone else can do in half an hour, it's better to outsource and pay other people to do it, because it's your time. And if you put a value in each and every activity that you do, and you realize that I'm spending 3 hours, and 3 hours of my coaching is, for example, $200, I'm losing $200 or $600 if it's per hour.
Yes.
And I can pay someone else $50 to do exactly the same.
A wise decision.
When you have a track, yeah, exactly. When you have a track of the activities and where is your forte or the money making on you, and the things that you have to do as a entrepreneur, but they are the things that you postpone and you dread, maybe it's better to delegate.
Let's talk more about different tools to create a better work-life balance. So what we talked about is, first of all, getting an understanding of where you spend your time. Then based on that time audit, take decisions to, I love that term, controlled procrastination. You can do that. No worries about that. No hard feelings, no guilt, no shame, nothing. You need to understand where you add value to your business and whether you are working in that profit pockets most of the time, or whether you're actually spending time on things that should better be outsourced, because there are people that are faster and better doing those tasks than you possibly can. Other than those, what else comes to mind, Claudia? What else can we do in order to create more balance?
I always recommend to book a time for yourself and be very faithful, or not faithful, sorry. Stick to it as is time for a client. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't nurture yourself, that is the key for overwhelm, burnt out, and everything. Because if you postpone yourself, you are going to drop the bucket, and you are running in an empty tank all the time. It's not going to work. And then you start to feel guilty because you are failing, because you are not good enough, all that crap that comes to your head. Sorry for the expression, but it is true. And then it comes the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. So better to close this. When you are centered, so if you meditate, if you do exercise, if you go for a walk, do something different. And it is super important to be faithful to that time for yourself and treat it as like a client meeting. don't postpone. Sometimes we can postpone, but never over 2 days. For example, I always find half an hour for me, but it's something for you, not for your house, not for your friends. It's something that nurture yourself and your state and grounded and help you to be more in the path to, okay, I'm calm now, I can deal with everything. And other tools are, for example, try to keep your inbox as clean as possible. So, and you can have like sections. So this is not important, this is important, this need a little bit more thinking. So those mails or activities that need a little bit more thinking, leave it to the end of the day. And you can quick reply those saying, I'm not going to give you a reply now. By the end of the week, I will. So it is in your pipe to follow up, but it's not all the time in your head that, oh, I should do that. Because those interruptions cut your focus and make you lose track. So having a notepad, for example, because your brain is always thinking, when you're working in some activity and something else not related to that activity comes to your brain, you can pop it in a list and then review it at the end of the day. And sometimes you read and say, oh, this is not important, and you can cross it, and that's it. So
let's talk about you for a moment, Claudia. This passion for time management and for creating work-life balance. You're not talking about this from a theoretical background. You talk about this from juggling a fairly complex life yourself. Can you let us into your world for a moment?
Well, yeah, I am, as you mentioned, I'm from Chile, but I moved with my husband to Scotland, and we started to have a family. Well, that was our plan, to have a family and then come back to Chile, have my job. I used to work in big corporation, doing many things and keep track of the activities of others. So I was managing teams in productivity, basically. But the main thing was when I started to have family here, my youngest son born with a very rare condition. So the first year was dealing and juggling with doctors, hospital, therapies, many studies, because they say that he wasn't going to live the first year. So basically I was living in between my house and the hospital, and I had 2 other boys under the age of 3 at that moment. So they were very close in age. And we don't have family around to help us all the time. So at the first year of my youngest son, yeah, we had family coming, but for a period of time. So the main thing was I was going to give this time for my other 2 as well, and not to feeling guilty that I was giving all my time to the youngest one only. Basically, when we were out of the woods in a way, because he stabilized and everything, although I had to go to appointments and everything, I decided to start a business in clothing for special needs people, because I didn't find the nicest clothes in the market. So my entrepreneurial mind started to build things, and I had this business in clothing. I'm not a seamstress, so I had to manage teams. I had to manage all the company and orders and everything, manage my house without support, the appointments of my youngest son, and then my eldest son was diagnosed with ASD, so other therapies as well, and activities of the boys at school as well. So I was juggling many things, and I feel that there was a point that I was a little bit overwhelmed, but never to the point that say, I'm done. So it was because the organizing my time and give it time for myself to do something that I really enjoy myself, that give me the clarity in a way to refocus and say, okay, I cannot work from 9 to 8 or 9 to 5, but I can work from when the boys are at school. So those 4 hours, I'm going to focus in the business, and I have employees that can keep going the hours that I'm not going to be. So for me, the key is to be present where you should be present. So if you are working, work, not thinking in, oh, I have to cook in the night, or I have to do that. When I'm working, I'm working. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. So those boundaries for me has to be very, very clear. Sometimes cross, but not many times. So not many times. Of course, if I'm working and I receive a call that my son is poorly, I have to stop and go, because my priority is my son.
Of course.
And having your priority clear, it is the key for everything. So if your priority is your work, give time to your work. But if the priority is your family or your health, that comes first, and then you start to put the pieces, the jigsaw pieces in place.
I think that is super valuable advice for every one of us. Ask yourself what is true.
And then,
right?
As I forgot to mention, in between, I started to do this coaching business, because many moms at the school gates ask me, how you manage to do everything, have a business, have the kids and everything, and never look overwhelmed and tired and like you need a drink at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe I can help many people, because we all have challenges and we never know what is around the corner. So I wasn't expect to have a child with many, many issues. So you have to be able to be flexible to adjust what is coming.
I think the key here is really
who
knowing
knew that
what
we
is
were
important
going
for
to
you,
be
right?
2 years with COVID.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Claudia.
So the main thing is that.
At the end of our conversation, I would like to draw our attention to a free gift that you have for every one of us listening right now. What is that, and how can we get our hands on it?
Well, there is a link that we're going to publish in the comment section, or you can reach to me. That is a PDF guide, is 5 keys to drop the overwhelm and be more, having this life-work balance. And the main thing, I touched some points here, that is organize, be more organized. And I'm not saying that you have to be structured and you cannot flexible and you have to keep your rhythms like that, because that doesn't work either, because you never know what is coming the next minute. Have true. Organization, a simplified system, but be flexible as well. So basically, there are some tips and some guidelines of how you can achieve this. Of course, as human beings, sometimes we start, yes, I'm going to do this. And 2 weeks later, we are like, no. But if you recall and think, this is important to me, and be accountant for yourself, you can make it.
Claudia.
Otherwise, I can be the accountability support system if you want to work with me, of course.
Claudia, thank you very much for coming onto Legacy today. It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And I hope I helped someone with the stories, because as I mentioned, we are different, we have challenges, but you don't have to struggle alone. And simplifying things sometimes is the best thing you can do.
If you want to catch more great sessions with experts like Claudia, then make sure you check out all the other great sessions that we recorded. If you've missed any of the incredible content, please consider upgrading to our VIP pass. You'll have full lifetime access to all the recordings, as well as additional bonuses that I've prepared for you. With your upgrade, you are supporting childhood cancer research and environmental protection causes. That's where all the profits of the event will go to. Visit the link around this video to see the details. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much.